maybe just on that, can you just tell us, first day back and there's no rest for the wicked in conditions like that, how did the boys get on and embrace the challenge of today?
Yeah, that's a key word. They really did embrace it. It was warm conditions, but good conditions to train in. Coming from Queensland, I think there's a bit of a competitive advantage when you're training in those conditions all the time. So they really did embrace it and train really well.
Sounds cliche, but teams who have unfinished business and want to win, they tend to come back pretty strong for those first days. Was that the kind of vibe out there today, guys ready to get down to work?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think the pre-Christmas training period and block was really a solid one for us, and they were able to go away, reset, but we were pretty strong on making sure they came back in good shape. And it's not long before we're into games almost and doing some match sim, so it's really important to have a really healthy numbers on the training track, which we did today, which was really good. So yeah, that's credit to the group.
Has there been less match sim than last pre-season? Because normally you guys seem to get pretty into it pretty early. It seems more kind of specific drills, more smaller kind of stuff this year.
Yeah, well, that's probably a good thing of playing finals, is that you come back a little bit later, and then that pre-Christmas period is really, again, just getting the fundamentals right. We still did do some small-sided games and that type of stuff, but we won't ramp up our game match sim until later this month and sort of mid-February.
Do you have to monitor guys over the break? I know some guys love living in the gym, they love running, looking after themselves. Are there any guys you kind of have to say to them, just ease back just a little bit so we can taper this right? Is that something you guys have to monitor too much?
Yeah, well, Ian McEwen and his staff do a great job in that space, more so in regards to, okay, this is the program that we set for you for a reason, and do that. So you're constantly having sort of those conversations with them. But again, that's a good thing. You'd rather the guys sort of be too eager than the other way, if you like.
On the other hand of that, there are some guys where you have to, preach, discipline, especially over, the Christmas period, where they might indulge you a little bit more.
Yeah, well, thankfully the coaching group aren't in that category, but yeah, certainly from a player's perspective, yeah, absolutely. There's real discipline in the detail in that break. The 3-week break is really important over Christmas for a whole range of reasons, but the feedback from the group is that they've done everything right, so that's a really good thing.
Okay, looking at some of the individual guys there, Cal Archie running by himself. I think there's a couple of some love from when he actually got to full sprint. What's he kind of dealing with at the moment? Is it just him just working his way into pre-season?
Yeah, it is. We have to remember that Cal played right to the last day in September, so his season looked a little bit different to ours. So we're just managing Cal. He'll be in amongst the group on Monday, the full group. So he also just drove the dogs and the cats over from Queensland as well. So there's a little bit of that, just managing him, but he's ready to go.
Speaking of Brisbane, you were obviously there for a large period of success, including a straight sets finals exit before making a granny and then climbing the summit. Do you see, obviously there was a lot of talk about the straight sets exit last year. I mean, what similarities do you kind of see from your time in Brisbane and Adelaide? Are there many?
Well, that season you're referring to in 2019, almost the same thing happened. I think Brisbane finished 15th, and then the 2019 finished second or equal second and went out in straight sets, and the following year made a prelim, and then the following year went out in straight sets again. And so there's a lot of lessons learned in my time at Brisbane, and there's some of the things that we're working on as a group here as well. Is again, what lessons did we take from not only 2025 but beyond that to make sure that we have another really strong year.
What did Brisbane do to get better in that space? I mean, obviously football clubs are always evolving and honing things, but what did Brisbane do when they went out and you had to go back to the drawing board? And again, are they similar to what you guys are doing this off-season? Yeah,
I think one of the biggest lessons that I can recall from that time was really just about doubling down on what we did the previous year. It wasn't about getting fancy and changing the game plan, and we have to look for what the 1 or 2% is. It's really just about doing what you did well and doubling down on it. So that's certainly what we're doing here as well. We've really last year we talked a lot about narrowing our focus and, taking the lessons from the year and doing that again.
How much do you kind of, as a coaching group, discuss the 3 talls, or if you go with 2 talls? Because I guess Nixie kind of maybe you see it didn't work the way he wanted it in finals. So how much do you look at that over pre-season?
Yeah, it's a good question because there's a lot of flexibility we feel within our playing group and especially our forward line as well. So, that's the beauty of this time of the year. There's a lot of spots that are up for grabs and it becomes very competitive, which is great. That's what we love as a coaching group, and our fans and members should know that that's that they should be excited by that because, again, guys are fighting for a spot in the team. Cal Alchia come in and he'll add a different dynamic to our forward line as well. So, we have those conversations, yet we probably know history tells us we're not probably going to get the answer until we get into the games.
We kind of look at pre-season as, one half being before Christmas, the second half being after Christmas. For the first half of pre-season, who's caught your eye? Yeah,
it's there's a lot of guys I think that have come back in really good shape. And Nick, I think Dan Curtin continues to impress. I mean, Joshua Shelley's going really well. So it's really hard to single guys out because from a coaching perspective, you're always looking at it from a holistic approach rather than just individuals. So, yeah, again, I always find those ones really hard to answer because I'm probably, like all our coaching group, looking at it from the whole 360.
There's always a lot of excitement around Dan. Is it going to be more? Is the plan going to be more in inside midfield time in 2026? He's got that frame. His running's looking really good as well.
Yeah, we'd like to think so. We think, Dan's done a lot of work in not only developing his physical capabilities, but also learning his craft and that as well. He's got some great players alongside him to learn from and learn off, and that'll be something that we look to explore.
How's Sid Draper tracking? When's he going to be back in full training?
Yeah, so Sid's had a really good break and got himself near returning, which is exciting for everyone, especially Sid. So we have to be patient with Sid, and that's what we've done, and he won't be far off returning to the whole training group as well.
What was the issue? What was he battling? Was it as bad?
No, more so for Sid. It's again, it's sort of when you're a young player and you're coming to an AFL system, you're always sort of trying to get that balance right of developing your body and be able to cope with playing AFL footy or at a standard. So a little bit of it with Sid was more just around his groins and that type of stuff. So, but as I said, Christmas break was really good for Sid. He's going really well, ticked a lot of boxes, and he should be within the main group.
Nixie's extension happened a little while ago now, but I'm sure there's a pleasing element that that's just not something that needs to be dissected and worried about this year, and yourself and Nixie and the coaching group can really just worry about the job at hand.
Yeah, well, I'm really happy for him. I think, this, clearly I've only been at the club 12 months, but I'm well aware of the work that he's done, and to be rewarded with that extension is a great reflection of his patience and the way he goes about things. So he's just all in as a coach. He's so heavily invested in it, so it's just a great reflection, as I said.
And sorry, you mentioned you don't like dissecting guys specifically too much, but a guy like Tex who comes back after Christmas and there's always talk about his management, his load, all that kind of thing. But how's he looking? It seems like he's as vocal as ever out there and moving pretty well too. Yeah,
well, that's a great advantage of having a guy like Tex on your playing list is the experience that he brings. And most people would know we drafted a lot of young forwards in the off-season, so Tex is having a huge influence on those guys already out on the training track. So he's not only a very good player, but he's also a very good coach.
Going back to Nixie, sorry, I guess since you were brought in as director of coaching, working so closely with him, how have you seen him change, maybe, or develop? How have you seen him develop since you've been at West Lakes?
Well, it's hard to comment on it because I wasn't here in the past, but I can say I've really enjoyed working with him, and I feel like he gives the whole coaching group so much autonomy. So he's just a great leader. The players love playing for him. I think he's, as I said, from my perspective and sitting alongside him, I just know that he goes about it the right way. He's got a great element of care for everyone within the Adelaide Crows Football Club.
There's always, I guess, when the club does go early and re-sign, before the contract runs out, people go, why would you do that? There's always questions around that. What kind of impact does that have on the coaching group and the playing group for it to be, settled early? Don't have to worry about it.
Well, the reality probably is in our roles, there's pressure, whether you're signed or not signed, to be honest. I think there's pressure in that job. So, it doesn't really change. I think it's just business as normal for all of us.